I score free tickets to a taping of the Montel Povich show and sit quietly in the back. The segment is entitled Wild Teens Out of Control, and as the program unfurls, a parade of dysfunctional preteens emerge from backstage, shouting obscenities and promulgations. It is a carnival of ugliness. Cellulite girls and skin-tight hoochie mama outfits project animalistic grunts of stupidity in every direction. 8-year-olds flagged with crip bandanas wave middle fingers in defiance and flea market exuberance. Hatred gleams from the eyes of sad lost children. Anguish, barity, expectancy. Montel begins a self-righteous dialogue pertaining to the emptiness of drug use. He turns his focus to the rebellious boys, who flabbily drape pink limbs over neatly lined chairs. An 11-year-old has filmed a promo piece backstage. He makes hood signs and slings trash through flash clips and colored frames. He talks like Eminem and calls his mother a cunt. The crowd is behooved to frenzy. They howl erratically, flinging their arms like wild chimpanzees, horns and buzzers and flashing lights. A final boy is marched out by security, having refused to tape a preview. He is 15, black, in green camouflage with a bright orange mohawk. The crowd instantly hates him on sight. As the noise dulls to a low roar, a white man in khakis calls him a freak. Everyone bursts into laughter as the boy quietly sits next to his mother, who is sexually excited by his embarrassment. She writhes in her chair like an orgasming pig, salivating sanguine. The punk boy fixates his eyes on the floor and remains mute. Prosaic men uniformed as drill instructors stomp out, anxious to purge the dissidents. One of them asks the punk kid what the fuck his problem is. He refuses to acknowledge the instructor, remaining silent and disinclined. The disciplinary clenches his fist and calls him a faggot. Beat red, he provides derogatory insults and dogmatic threats. Still, the boy refuses to budge. The audience is astonished by the manic cliffhanger as station managers flounced about to wrap up the show, leaving the quarrel unsettled. Weeping children are herded into white minivans and shipped off to boot camp. The Caucasian crip utilizes his red scarf as a handkerchief. Cellulite girls sway their hips with fingers outstretched, waving index appendages like bickering wands. The audience filters out, and I with them. As we exit, I overhear two loud black women mock the way the fat white girls were dressed. It has uplifted their spirits. The sun descends as I wait for Montel Povich in the parking lot. He stumbles towards his Porsche, drunk and high on marijuana. I swiftly emerge from the shadows, smiling politely. He thinks that I am a fan, and lets his guard down to dig a pen out of his pocket. With breakneck speed, the lead pipe cracks open his skull. He hits the ground with a praxis thud that echoes across every smokestack, canopy, sad highway, and silent canyon in America. His legs thrash spastically as I kick him in the face, legs thrashing in an animal escape mechanism. It isn't enough. I work over his body with the lead pipe until a faint death rattle gargles from his trachea. I stare at the mutilated Rorschach, visually tracing its outline. I calmly pick up one of his cosmetically bleached teeth and slip it into my pocket. I will mount it on my wall as a trophy. I stand in the blistering cold, directly blocking the one path that leads to the Great Devourer. The motorcade approaches as snow falls gracefully. The vehicles contain every parental throwaway being transported that night, 6 vans slamming on the brakes to avoid running me down. The leader rolls down the window to say something relevant. He is still wearing that ridiculous hat. Before the words even formulate in his throat, I bury a clip into his face. I lunge towards the vehicles in John Woo stealth, sprinting across rooftops, blasting downwards with twin Colt 45s. My heart is a helicopter blade, the windshield shrapnel, abstract fireworks in slow motion. The 2 remaining men aggressively pull out their twin 9mm, shouting colossal fear voices. I pretend the hand cannons are still loaded, putting them defensively like a porcupine raising his needle back. The slightest move launches all triggers. Suddenly, the captives break free and swarm the opposition. The children drag the screaming men away and tear them apart like zombies in a Romero film. The cellulite girls fight over a pancreas. The Eminem boy dips his fingers in blood and streaks them across his face like Indian war paint. The punker is still sitting on the back of the van, quiet and undisturbed. I snag the sleeve of his jacket and 80 of us rush into the woods, yelping with triumphant battle cries. The night grows on as we set up camp, the tribe holding their breath awaiting my speech. They gather before me and I ask each of them how they view life, how fate set them here. I write it all down as it comes pouring from their souls. The final interrogation is of the punk boy. He tells me in a whisper that his name is Joshua. His parents put him on the television set. or making his life a prison cell for coming out of the closet. I make my final judgments. There are only 12 pure and true. They are my neo-apostles. I bring them to my side and line up the remainders. They are giddy and blissful, awaiting their punk-ass salvation. Fascistically, I distribute the rifles. Joshua sends the motion, and we mow them down as death fills the air. It is a cancer in our lungs. We pile the refuse and soak the heap with kerosene. We pass the torch ceremonially, as if a Freemason ritual, one by one, right down the line. The organisms vanquish and pyre. All is beautiful. We sing and dance and laugh around our bonfire-loving life. The ashes dim in the twilight. The sun rises as phoenix. There is no more horror. There is no more pain. We are in the valley of the sun.